As we know, prioritizing and organizing is difficult when you have ADHD, but it also means that it's difficult when we are trying to organize or prioritize our thoughts and our feelings. And when you are learning or job searching or starting a business, you are trying to organize and prioritize a lot of things. And when you can't even do that with your thoughts and feelings, it can get muddy fast. So, coaching provides this kind of safe space where somebody else can really elicit self discovery from you. So, often we can verbally process or we can write things out, but when we externally process something, we can really gain some key insights into what's going on with us. And we usually can find strategies that actually work for us. So when you can coach yourself, you can start to find strategies that really work for you, that you're never going to find an infographic that's going to describe it because it's going to be so specific to you and to what you need. So, what I'm going to share with you is a few prompts that I use with my clients when they feel stuck. I also use these on myself and with my loved ones. I do ask permission when I do this with loved ones because people don't necessarily want to be asked a bunch of questions like unsolicited. So I usually will ask, like, would you like me to ask a few questions to kind of help you process it out? The goal really is to keep the questions open ended and neutral so that you, the individual, can explore the bounds and not have expectations on you. So, what is hard about it? This is like my favorite question right now. What is hard about it? So that thing that you mentioned earlier that you wrote down about earlier that you feel stuck on. So thinking about what's hard about it, you may have to ask this several times in order to really start to get to some of the root of what's going on for why you're stuck. An example of this would be I know a lot of individuals who have ADHD that have a real problem with phone calls. So, what's hard about returning the phone call? Well, they might answer. What's hard about that? They might need something that I don't have. Okay, what's hard about that? Well, then I'll have to make another phone call and I'll have to remember what they needed to figure it out. And this whole thing has to be taken care of in the next 2 days. So the real struggle here isn't necessarily with like actually making the phone call. It's that there's a due date, so there's high pressure, and this person is nervous about performing, about being able to remember the right answers to things and being able to get the answers that they need. Okay? So the stakes feel really high about them being able to perform on this phone call. The second question is, what importance does it hold for you? So you're stuck. I want to do this thing. I want to search for a job. I want to start meal planning. I want to build my business. Okay, well, what importance does it hold for you? And another way you could ask this is, what impact will it have on your life? So when we can envision future us just a little bit, we can recenter on the why this needs to move forward. What do you need? This can be a range of support from moral support to a password. It could be, I need to see an example of something. Sometimes we're stuck because we think we need something in order to move forward that actually is not essential to us being able to make progress. And when we start to reflect on, like, what do I really need? We will list those things out and then we'll be like, you know what? I don't really need a spatula for that recipe. It's fine. We don't have one. Okay, that's a silly example, but again, like, we can tend to overcomplicate things. So asking ourselves, what do I really need? Also might help you identify the problem of like why you're stuck. Like, oh, well, I'm stuck because I'm waiting on a response from somebody and I only have part of it. And so there's something I need. Okay. And then the last thing that I ask people is, what is the very, very, very first or next step? This simple breaking things down is something that a lot of coaches talk about, but I can't underscore it enough that when we can break things down into like 10-minute chunks, we start to see what the things are that are holding us up, even 5-minute chunks. So, like the example of like needing your laptop to be charged so you can log into it to do this task and the charger is frayed and I need a new charger. This could be a huge block on why somebody is getting a bunch of late fees on bills. It's about the charger to their laptop. It has nothing to do with money or anxiety about being able to pay their bills. It's that they literally don't have the computer charged. So when I was a kid, I used to get really overwhelmed cleaning my room. And my mom would come in and she would say, find all the shoes. Just go find all the shoes. And I would go into my room and I would find all the shoes and I would get them in a giant pile in the closet. And within like 20 minutes, the entire room would be clean. And I still clean like this. I still come at projects like this. Or when I have a big work project, I'll say, like, find my shoes. What are the shoes? What is the easiest thing for me to find and do first so that I can just get my brain moving? And then I have one bonus on here. So perhaps what you're stuck on right now that's really bothering you is something that's been working, and or it's something you've done a whole bunch of times. And so you've been telling yourself, like, what is the big deal? I do this all the time, or I've done this so many other times. But asking yourself, like, what is different this time is a really important question. And it's one that you also might need to ask multiple times, because what you might find is that what's different is you physically feel different. Your office setup is different. The customer is different. The software you're using is different. There could be little things that don't feel like they even come into play when you think about doing a task, that when you zoom out a little bit, it's like, oh, well, come to think of it, that is different this time. And actually, it's different, but also it's a problem because my computer won't update that software. And I need that software this time to do this thing. So it's different. So the more that you can practice kind of being curious toward yourself, the more quickly you'll begin to kind of push through that inertia. When in doubt, I always say, ask yourself, what is hard about it or what's different this time? I really think these two questions, they only take a second to start to build the habit of asking yourself that. And it can really get your brain moving when you aren't sure what to do.